So there's a new documentary in town, one of the weirdest but most fascinating and most disturbing and most compelling documentaries of the year. It's called The Act of Killing. The title takes on a number of meanings, and it is about a filmmaker named Joshua Oppenheimer who goes to Indonesia, where 50 years ago there was basically a genocide that nobody really wants to talk about there, where everybody who, after a military coup, everybody who was a communist or, even considered slightly to the left was butchered with their families. And the killers are still walking around free into society, and Oppenheimer goes and he befriends them, and they feel, they're not hiding what they did, they're proud of it. And he asks them to reenact, basically put on a show of how they did what they did, using any genre they want, which means we get basically at one point a very surreal musical about genocide.
David Lynchian,
yeah.
I'd say.
The film's been controversial. Oppenheimer is very, very smart and careful about what he does. I thought those scenes worked, don't you?
Yeah, I do, and I think this film is extraordinary. I mean, first of all, who thinks of this idea? Who goes in, and even documentary filmmakers always go in and end up making something they didn't start with.
Right.
But this is, a 180 from wherever he started.
Well, he started out interviewing the victims,
right.
and then...
And he was there for 8 years,
right.
Compiling these things. And at some point, this turned, and it turned into something both marvelous, and at points in the film you wonder, can this really be real? Mm-hmm. and how much manipulation is going on here? But for me, it opens up these possibilities and windows into something that we don't like to look at, and particularly with this massacre, which most Westerners don't even really know happened. And it takes you into places where I think he very responsibly, lets us go to see the darkest, most perverse, and most fascinating things a mind of a killer can conjure as defenses and ways to live with oneself. And then at the end, the ways that backfires,
right.
bubbles up.
And blows up in their faces. And the main person in the film is a man named Anwar Congo, who was, killed hundreds, if not thousands of people, and really doesn't seem to bother him, and yet at the end, there are a couple of scenes that you will never forget.
Yeah, you will never forget, and those scenes will ring in your ears for all. And that is the power of filmmaking, and that is something that makes this movie a must-see.
It's called The Act of Killing, and you should seek it out and watch it. I'm Burr.
And I'm Janice Page.
For the Boston Globe.